The rain beat relentlessly against the windowpane, a symphony of whispered secrets and hidden fears. I sat alone in the dimly lit living room, my heart racing in sync with the torrential downpour outside. The storm had arrived unexpectedly, casting an air of unease over the night. As I tried to focus on the book in my hands, the creak of the floorboards upstairs caught my attention. I dismissed it as the house settling, the old wood groaning under the weight of the rain. But then, a whisper of laughter floated down the staircase, chilling me to the bone. I closed my book, the words blurring as my mind raced. I lived alone, the only inhabitant of the old farmhouse that had been in my family for generations. The sound was too distinct to be a mere trick of the wind or a figment of my imagination. With a trembling hand, I reached for my phone, ready to dial 911 if need be. The rain continued to pour, each drop a reminder of the isolation that surrounded me. I strained to hear, my senses on high alert, as the laughter grew louder, closer. A shadow moved in the hallway, fleeting and elusive. Panic surged within me, and I held my breath, listening intently for any sign of an intruder. The laughter seemed to emanate from every corner of the room, a chilling chorus that echoed in my ears. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice quivering. Silence followed, broken only by the steady rhythm of the rain. I waited, my heart pounding in my chest, but there was no response. With a shaky exhale, I rose from the chair and crept toward the hallway, my footsteps barely audible against the rain's incessant drumming. I reached the base of the stairs, my gaze fixed on the darkened upper level. The air was thick with tension, and a chill ran down my spine as a whisper brushed against my ear. It was a single word, a name that I had thought I had left behind in the past. Emily. My blood ran cold. Emily had been my younger sister, lost to an accident that had haunted my family for years. Her death had left scars that time could never heal, wounds that I had tried to bury deep within my psyche. "Is that you, Emily?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the rain. No response came, but a figure materialized at the top of the stairs. It was a girl, her hair dark and tangled, her eyes hauntingly familiar. She wore the same pajamas Emily had worn on the night of her accident. My heart hammered in my chest, and a mixture of terror and disbelief swept over me. "Emily?" I repeated, my voice shaking. The girl's gaze bore into mine, her expression a mixture of sadness and longing. She beckoned to me, her small hand outstretched, a silent invitation to follow. With hesitant steps, I ascended the stairs, my heart pounding in my ears. The hallway stretched before me, its darkness a stark contrast to the flickering candlelight that emanated from the open door at the end. The rain continued to fall, a distant backdrop to the surreal scene that was unfolding before me. I entered the room, my breath catching on the floor. The walls were adorned with faded photographs, memories frozen in time. A single candle stood on the table, casting a soft glow that illuminated the room in a warm, flickering light. And there, at the center of the room, stood Emily. Tears blurred my vision as I took in her form, unchanged, untouched by time. Her eyes held a mixture of sorrow and forgiveness, a reflection of the pain that had haunted our family for so long. "Emily, I'm so sorry," I choked out, the weight of guilt and regret crashing down on me. She smiled, a bittersweet expression that tugged at my heart. The room seemed to fill with a warmth that defied explanation, as if the very air were infused with her presence. "I never blamed you," she whispered, her voice a gentle breeze that rustled the curtains. As the rain continued to fall outside, I realized that this was a chance at closure, a moment of solace that had eluded me for years. The storm had brought her back to me, a fleeting reunion that defied the boundaries of life and death. Time seemed to stand still as we talked, sharing stories and memories that had remained buried for so long. The rain outside was no longer a harbinger of fear but a soothing backdrop to our conversation. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the curtains, Emily's form grew fainter, her presence waning like a whisper carried away by the wind. With a final smile, she faded from view, leaving behind an indelible sense of peace. The rain had stopped, leaving the world outside cleansed and refreshed. I descended the stairs, my heart lighter than it had been in years. The storm had brought me face to face with the past, allowing me to confront regrets and find closure in the most unexpected of ways. As I stepped outside, the rainbow arched across the sky, a symbol of hope and renewal. The rain-soaked world seemed transformed, and I knew that I would carry Emily's presence with me, reminding me that even in the darkest of nights, there is a glimmer of light waiting to guide us home. But then, just as I felt the ordeal was over, I heard it. A faint whisper, carried on the wind, a whisper that sent a shiver down my spine. It was Emily's voice, gentle yet urgent. Wait. I turned around, searching for the source of the voice. But there was no one there, only the empty expanse of the farm, still glistening from the rain. Wait, the voice repeated, closer this time. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. My heart raced as I tried to make sense of what was happening. Was it my imagination playing tricks on me? Or was Emily truly trying to tell me something? Emily, is that you? I called out, my voice trembled. The wind carried the scent of rain and earth, but there was something else, a faint undercurrent of decay. My stomach turned, and a knot of dread formed in my chest. This wasn't right. This couldn't be Emily. The voice grew louder, more insistent. Wait. I backed away, my footsteps crunching on the wet ground. The rainbow that had once seemed so hopeful now felt like a distant memory. The farmhouse loomed behind me, its windows dark and foreboding. As I turned to leave, a figure appeared in the doorway. It was Emily, or at least, it looked like her. But her eyes were empty voids, devoid of the warmth and life I remembered. Her voice, once soothing, now had a sinister edge. Wait. I stumbled back, my heart racing as I realized the truth. This wasn't my sister. This was something else, something that had used her image to lure me in. Fear surged through me, and I turned and ran, my footsteps echoing in the silent aftermath of the storm. The world around me seemed to blur as I sprinted toward the safety of my car. The rhythmic beat of my heart matched the cadence of my steps, each thought a reminder of the adrenaline coursing through my veins. The voice, that twisted mimicry of my sister, pursued me, its words a haunting echo that reverberated in my mind. Wait. I fumbled for my car keys, my fingers trembling as I tried to unlock the door. The rain-soaked metal slipped from my grip, and panic threatened to overwhelm me. The voice was closer now, its chilling resonance sending shivers down my spine. I managed to unlock the door and flung it open, diving into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life, and I slammed the car into gear, tires skidding on the gravel. As I sped away from the farmhouse, the voice faded, carried away by the wind and rain. My heart raced as I drove, the image of that twisted version of Emily burned into my mind. The storm had revealed a darkness that I hadn't known existed, a malevolent force that had taken advantage of the rainy night to toy with my emotions. Hours later, I found myself at a roadside diner, the fluorescent lights providing a stark contrast to the darkness outside. I ordered a cup of coffee, my hands still trembling from the ordeal. As I sat alone in the booth, I replayed the events of the night in my mind, trying to make sense of what had happened. Was it a ghost? A malevolent spirit that had somehow used Emily's memory against me? Or was it something even more sinister, an entity that had taken on her form to draw me into its grasp? The rain had stopped by the time I left the diner, and I had gotten cool and crisp. thoughts were a jumbled mess of fear and confusion. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had come face to face with something ancient and malevolent, something that thrived in the darkness and used the rain as a conduit to the world of the living. As I pulled into my driveway, I couldn't help but glance toward the farmhouse. It stood there, a silent sentinel, its windows dark and impenetrable. The rain-soaked earth seemed to hold the memory of the night's events, a haunting reminder of the terror that had unfolded. I stepped out of the car, my heart still racing as I approached the front porch. But then, a soft sound caught my attention. It was the sound of rain, gently tapping against the ground. I looked up at the sky, expecting to see dark clouds, but instead, I was met with a sky full of stars. Confusion gnawed at the edges of my mind. Hadn't the storm passed? Hadn't the rain stopped? But there it was, the sound of rain, growing louder, more insistent. I turned toward the farmhouse, dread creeping up my spine. And then I saw her, or rather, it. Emily's figure stood on the porch, her form distorted, her eyes empty voids. The rain seemed to fall around her, as if she were the epicenter of the storm. "Wait," the voice whispered, carried underneath. Fear surged through me, but this time, it was different. This time, I was ready. I turned away from the figure, my heart pounding, and ran toward the safety of my home. The rain soaked through my clothes, drenching me to the bone, but I didn't stop. The voice grew louder, a cacophony of whispers that seemed to come from all directions. But I knew better now. I knew that it was a trap, a siren's call meant to ensnare me once more. I reached the car and slammed the door shut, my breath ragged. The figure on the porch seemed to stretch and distort, its form becoming a grotesque parody of my sister. But I refused to look back. With a screech of tires, I peeled out of the driveway, leaving the farmhouse and its horrors behind me. As I drove away, the rain gradually faded, and the world around me returned to normal. The storm had passed, and the night was quiet once more. But the memory of that rainy night would forever be etched into my mind, a reminder that even in the most innocent of things, darkness could hide, waiting to seize its opportunity to terrify and torment.